Instinct versus intuition, they kind of are two sides of the same coin. Hello and welcome back to today's video. In this video we want to take a look at the difference between instinct and intuition and what their actual purpose is. So if you like the video, don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment down below. Intuition and instinct are the same in the sense that they both have the purpose of guiding you, of giving you an information beyond your conscious mind. They also are the same in the sense that they want to protect you, they want to make sure that you are taken care of. However, the way they do it is very different. They are also the same in the sense that you are both born with instincts and intuition, but the way they develop is also different from one another. Let's have a look at instincts first. So instincts are very much based on the principle of survival. So you get instinctual reaction that make sure that you're going to survive. It's forcing you to take a reaction without even thinking about it. For example, one of the instincts that you are born with from the very beginning is the instinct to breathe. So you don't have to think about it, you just breathe naturally. But there are also other instincts that you learn throughout your life. And this can be emotional instincts, but also physical instincts. What I mean by that is that the trigger is either emotional or is physical. For example, if you burned yourself once, you have the instinctual reaction if you get close to a fire to pull back your hand because you instinctually know that it's gonna burn you, it's gonna hurt you and it's gonna harm you and put you in danger. So you might have not been born with the instinct to stay away from an open flame, but you have learned that instinct by experience. So instinct is a very primal reaction. So you react before you think. And the trigger is something that you were either born with or that you have learned over time. The other one that I mentioned was an emotional trigger. And this can be for good or bad, in the meaning or in the sense that if you have learned or have been conditioned to pull away from an open flame because it burns and hurts you, that's a great conditioning. However, there are a lot of other conditioning that might not be beneficial for you. And a lot of those are usually emotional. Let's take love for an example. So if you have been opening up, but every time that you open up to someone, you get hurt, rejected or put down, you get conditioned that every time I open up, I get hurt. Therefore, you shut down completely. In this example, the instinctual reaction is about keeping you safe and making sure that you are not being hurt anymore. The reason this happens is that an instinctual reaction or something that has been conditioned usually does it in a generalized way. What I mean by that is you get hurt by one guy and then you generalize all men are bad. And the survival mechanism basically comes from the nervous system. And this is why you act before you think. So you don't have to think about breathing. You don't have to think about running away from the dog. You don't have to think about shutting down or turning that person down because it's like an instinctual and nervous system reaction. Something happens outside, it gets triggers and the automatic response will take place. The challenge with it is that it can be conditioned and the wrong things can be conditioned. But the same way that a negative thing can be conditioned, you can also resolve it. And this is a topic for a whole other video, but this is where working through limiting beliefs, working through past traumas or healing past traumas comes into place. Bottom line is an instinctual reaction per se is not bad. It just, you gotta look at the bigger picture and see, okay, what's the consequence of this instinctual reaction and make a decision from there on. Do I need to change this? Do I want to change it? Is it a conditioning that might impact my life a little bit, but honestly, I don't care enough to work with it or work through it. So it doesn't mean that you have to work through every single instinctual reaction that you have conditioned yourself, but the one that really are impacting you and you feel like, oh, this is having a toll on my life. It's like it's impacting the way I get to live my life. Let's have a look at intuition now. Intuition does have the same purpose in the sense it's meant to guide you and making sure that you make the right decision, but it does it in a very different way. While instinct is about survival and protecting you, intuition is about guiding you, and it has a more feeling of a forward motion and an open feeling. Instead of protection, it's like more a closed feeling and kind of more of an armor sense. Like instinct is more a feeling of having put on an armor, and this can be good in the right situation. But intuition is more about getting a map and be like, okay, which route is the best one to take, and you're just gonna take that route. Intuition is also something that you are born with, but compared to instinct where you get conditioned throughout life, intuition is something that you have to develop. It's a skill that you have to develop, learn, and build up. So it's not something that happens outside and you automatically build intuition, but it's something that you have to consciously train. The way you do it is that you start learning to look out for the cues. What I mean by that is that intuition gets triggered the same way instinct gets triggered. Something outside happens and something inside of you reacts. And it's about understanding, what does this reaction mean? If we looked at it in a very generalized way, an instinctual reaction is usually connected with fear. With intuition on the other side, it's like you cannot really explain it, you just know. And this is where it can become really tricky, in the sense you get this feeling and your brain is trying to dissect it, and it's like, okay, we're getting this feeling, what does it mean? And it's trying to analyze it. And I'm sure you had the experience of, you had to make a decision, is it answer A or is it answer B? And you're like, I don't know. Your initial reaction was answer A, but then you switched to answer B and it was like, oh, I should have stayed with my first instinct or with my first intuition. But the next time you're like, the same situation, you're having answer A and you're having answer B, and your initial response is like answer A, but and you get this feeling, maybe it's answer B, but then you're like, no, I'm gonna go with my first gut instinct and I'm gonna go with answer B. But then it turns out to be wrong as well. And then your brain is like, well, every time I go with my intuition, it's like wrong. So like one time it was my intuition telling me A and I went for B and it was wrong, and the other time my intuition told me A as well, but it was wrong. And this is what I mean by intuition is a skill that needs to be developed, because in both cases your intuition gave you the right answer, but you had the wrong interpretation of that feeling. In that case, answer A was a yes, it was an intuitive, oh, this is the solution response. In the other scenario where you also had the feeling of answer A, it actually, the intuitive or the intuition was like, oh, this is the wrong one, let's take this one out, because we intuitively know that this one is wrong, but we intuitively know that this one is right. But the mind was like, oh, the first response is always a yes, but this is not what it means. So the first response isn't, oh, this is the right way. The first response is just like, oh, this is the most obvious answer, but the most obvious answer of what? Of a yes, of a no, because this is like, obviously that's not the answer, but it can also be, obviously, yes, this is the answer. And this is where practice comes in. It's about understanding and really being able to observe yourself, like, what's the difference? Another challenge is that you're trying to dissect it too much with your brain. You're trying to analyze it. But as I said, the intuition is something that you cannot analyze with the logic mind. So instead of trying to understand, okay, in this situation I had this feeling and it looked like this and it moved like this, and in this situation I had this feeling but it moved like this and it looked like this. It's much more about awareness and noticing and feeling it instead of analyzing it. So just like, how does it feel? How does it make me feel? And try to notice the differences, but in a feeling way, not in a logical way. Another challenge that might come up when it comes to working with your intuition is, and you feel like that your intuition is giving you a different answer every single time you're trying to decide it. So in one moment it's like A, in the second moment it's B, in the third it's C. And again, it's not that your intuition is telling you, oh, take A, oh no, take B, oh no, take C. The confusion that you're actually feeling is not so much your intuition, but it's actually your brain chiming in and be like, oh, your intuition is giving us A, but I don't like A. So you're getting this conflicted feeling. If we take the business example, you might be really drawn to option A, but at the same time you're having a resistance with it. So in that case, it's understanding, which part is intuition and which part is brain. For example, is it your brain and your ego who's like, oh, I really like option A, it gives us a lot of money, it gives us great status, I'm gonna look good, it's gonna be this, this and this. But your intuition is like, I know it sounds so good, but it's not the best decision for you. And if you look to option C, it's like, your brain's like, that doesn't make sense. It's not like, it would be so stupid to take this one. But your intuition is like, that's the one. I know it doesn't make sense, but it's gonna give you the best results. Maybe not in the moment, but long term for what you are actually after. So the confusion that you usually get when it comes to making decisions with your intuition is that your brain and your intuition are kind of having a discussion on who's right. Another difference from intuition versus instinct is that intuition is something that you get the information, but you still have to take a conscious action. So you might know option C is the one that will give me the best results, even though I do not like it on a conscious level. Whereas with instinct, you have already reacted. From the negative perspective, with instinct, it's about negative conditioning and having instinctual reactions that are actually impacting your life on a negative way. And with intuition, it's about suppressing your inner knowing. It's about you're getting the reaction, but you're suppressing it or ignoring it. So to wrap the video up, instinct and intuition are both here to help you, but they do it in a different way. Think about it going on a quest. And instinct is the armor that you put on that keeps you safe and protects you. And intuition is the map that guides you and shows you how to get where you want to get. So you need both, but it's important to make sure that you got the best version. Like, you don't want to walk around with an armor that's rusty or even broken. At the same time, you don't want to use a map from the wrong country or looking at it upside down. So it's about taking care and maintaining both aspects. So making sure that both are well taken care of makes it also much easier to handle challenges, because you have the best armor and the best map to get you through everything, because you have all the answers, you have all the tools that you need. This is it for the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.